So out of nowhere, Donald Trump drops this bombshell announcement. And no, it has nothing to do with policy or trade talks. He wants to build a massive monument in Washington, D.C. So why the sudden interest in architecture? Let's get into it.
It all started right here. Trump saw this photo of India Gate in Delhi, posted it on social media, and called it a beautiful triumphal arch. And you know what? It clearly left a really big impression on him.
But he didn't just stop at admiring it. Oh no, he immediately announced that America is going to build its own, and it's going to be even grander. He's calling it the American Gate. As you can imagine, the announcement just blew up online.
And that brings us to the big question, right? Why this? Why now? Well, the answer probably isn't about buildings at all. It's about political strategy. And to really get it, we need to look at the pressures facing a presidency that, well, seems to be in a bit of trouble. See, this whole American Gate idea isn't happening in a vacuum. It's coming at a time when things are looking pretty tough for Trump. And the numbers, well, they tell a pretty clear story.
Just take a look at this. The trend is pretty hard to ignore. Poll after poll shows that public confidence in his handling of huge issues, we're talking the economy, foreign policy, you name it, is steadily dropping. This isn't just a little dip, it's a consistent slide, even with some of his core supporters.
And those sinking poll numbers, they're being fueled by a whole storm of other problems. You've got the really damaging connection to Jeffrey Epstein, a US dollar that's getting weaker, foreign policy headaches like the war in Ukraine, and just this general feeling that there aren't any big new ideas coming out of the administration.
The Jeffrey Epstein scandal, in particular, has been a public relations nightmare. The whole story is just incredibly dark. And while Trump keeps denying any part of it, saying things like, "I was never on Jeffrey's island," a lot of evidence points to a friendly relationship in the past, and that's making a lot of Americans very suspicious.
On top of all that, people are getting worried about their wallets. The dollar is losing its muscle, which basically means your money doesn't go as far. And while the administration is trying to spin it, a lot of economists are waving red flags, warning about a potential crisis. So how does a leader deal with fires on so many different fronts?
Well, the answer might just be buried in history. To really get the strategy behind proposing a giant arch, we need to understand what these things have meant for centuries. So what exactly is a triumphal arch? It's way more than just a big doorway. It is a massive political statement. Throughout history, they've been built for two big reasons: to celebrate a huge military victory or to glorify a ruler and cement their legacy in stone. Basically, they're symbols of absolute power and success. And this is a really, really old playbook. We're talking ancient Rome, using them to brag about conquests. Napoleon built the famous Arc de Triomphe for his army. For centuries, these things have been the go-to for powerful nations to project strength and make sure nobody forgets their biggest wins.
And hey, even the monument that sparked this whole idea, India Gate, it fits the mold perfectly. The British built it back in 1931 to remember the almost 75,000 soldiers from British India who died in World War I. It's a powerful symbol of national sacrifice from a huge global war.
Okay, so now we can start connecting the dots, right? On one side, you have a leader who's facing a real crisis of confidence, and on the other, you have this ancient tradition of building giant monuments to scream victory. Think about it. When a leader can't point to a lot of real, tangible successes, what can they do? They can build a symbol of one instead. A massive, patriotic monument is a time-tested political trick to distract everybody from a shaky economy or nasty scandals. It's a way to change the entire conversation.
And this is where the whole thing gets kind of awkward. You look at what triumphal arches are historically for, celebrating big military wins. But the war in Ukraine is still dragging on. They're about national prosperity, but we're hearing warnings of a crisis. They're usually built by super popular leaders, but his approval ratings are falling. The gap between the symbol and the reality is pretty stark.
So, when you boil it all down, this really seems to be about legacy. With his term possibly ending and not many clear-cut wins to point to, either overseas or at home, Trump needs something tangible, something big, permanent, that just shouts greatness. If you don't have the wins, maybe a giant monument can be the next best thing.
Which leaves us with this one last big question. I mean, you can build a monument, sure, but can you really build a lasting legacy out of stone when the political and economic ground all around you seems to be cracking? That's definitely something to think about.